So I've been trying to get better video output from the Commodore 64C, and for quite a while I've been using the composite out. I even modded the RF modulator here to have a bypass wire to send composite out to there. And then I was using composite output from the video output, which is pretty crappy. So I thought I'll make myself a SCART cable that's got chroma support. Sometimes you get these cables for the C64. They are actually just using composite, because SCART can take composite and it can do chroma, and sometimes they're just wired up for composite because it works on all Commodore 64s. Well, this one's got the chroma output, which is not quite S-Video standard, but it's good enough to be able to get a signal. And the trouble is that even though this is wired up, it doesn't really look very good. And I'm not exactly sure why, but people on the internet said, oh, you need to put a 300 ohm resistor in the chroma line. So I've got this variable resistor that I robbed out of an old Amiga broken power supply. I put that in and you tweak this and it changes the picture, but it just changes it to look different. It's got like horrible green color on it all over the place. I then tried just randomly putting a 100 ohm or something resistor in the Luma line. That doesn't really do anything either. So I thought I'd take a look in the RF modulator. Now, Adrian from Adrian's Digital Basement did a video a while back on the RF modulator and why it was fuzzy. And he had some, mostly of the old long boards, the breadboard C64. And he'd taken them apart and he'd got the modulator schematics and everything like that. And he'd looked in and said, oh, you can just remove this inductor and move one of these capacitors and you get better video output. Now, he said he tried it on an NTSC shortboard, which is one of these, and he said the picture output was fine. But what I've done, I'll show you, is that I have removed my modulator at great expense. It's actually quite hard to remove these because all the heat gets synced out by this case. And this is the modulator number here, 251916003A. So this is the PAL modulator. I've removed this because I thought there must be something dodgy going on here, and I couldn't find a schematic for it, like for this exact one. And I had a look inside, and this actually does have this inductor that he said he didn't think was on the PAL ones, and this one does actually have it. So it was an inductor on the chroma line, which is the first thing, and it's that inductor there. It's come straight in from the chroma line and goes straight on that inductor. And he also, on his, he found a capacitor on the Luma line. Now, I've reverse engineered this. It's actually on the back on this one, but I had a quick look and there is no capacitor to ground on the Luma line. So there is no capacitor to ground on the Luma line. So that's not a problem, but this inductor might be. So I had to take this off just to see the back so I could reverse engineer it to make sure what it was. But in his video, he says he's looking at a schematic, which he says is the NTSC one, and the PAL one's probably different because some of the PAL ones didn't have this inductor, but mine definitely does. The schematic that he's looking at definitely looks a lot like the one I've got here. So my plan is to see if removing this inductor is going to make a difference to this particular modulator in the C64C. Now, unfortunately, firstly, if I knew that was the right modulator, I would have just been able to cut it out from above. But unfortunately, unlike in the breadbin one that he had, it was like laying flat instead of on end. So it was quite easy to you need to cut this and bridge it. And it was quite easy to bridge it on this one, but it's not so easy on this one because the inductor is on end. And I'm not sure that you could bridge this without taking it out. So that's a bit unfortunate. But what I have done is I've pre-built some of these little leads, and what I'm going to do, they've actually just got these DuPont connectors on the end. I'm going to shove these on here because they just happen to fit, and I've made this 3-1 for the other end, which just doesn't I think the outputs are on the left side, so this won't output the composite, which I don't need to test at the moment. So what I'm going to do is put these on here, and then I'm going to kind of solder these into there, and then we can have a look at the picture on the chroma Luma line, and then I can probably desolder this inductor from the back and then jump it and see if it actually makes any difference to the picture. So that's the plan, to see if I can actually get a better output from this PAL Commodore 64C. So if you've got this modulator and this happens to work, then this inductor is going to be the one to get rid of. It's marked L1 on the board. First job is to solder these little wires in. Hopefully these fit through the hole. Oh, these might be too fat. Oh, these are not that easy to get through. Well, I didn't think this through. Yeah, so these wires don't fit through the holes in the board, not very well. So I think I'm going to put a connector on that end as well and then solder a connector in there just so I can disconnect this. So I'll be back in a moment. So that's one done. Right, there's my second one. So these should be able to, if I put some pin headers on here, I should be able to get this on here and then we can have a look at it. plug this into the board on some pin headers, which I've got here. I mean, hopefully these will be easy to get out afterwards as well, because they're going to have to come out to put the modulator back in once any mods have been made. It's quite a long-winded way to go, but I just want to get a before and after on this and make sure that it's actually doing anything. So the idea now is with these pins that this modulator can actually just plug back in with these little leads that I've made. And hopefully this just completely works like before, except it's out of the case. So we can give that a go now. Are we still going to get a picture? Now I've got these little pigtails coming off the modulator. And the answer is yes. So now we can get a good look at the picture before, which I'm going to do on this video camera. But if we zoom right in, we can have a good look. So actually the chroma lumen isn't really bad. And it certainly doesn't look very bad on this screen. So the chroma lumen is not super bad, but I don't know if you can see the smearing on these letters. I think there is some interference that's coming from this SCART box, but you can see that it just doesn't look super great. Now I've got this potentiometer that I can adjust, and oh, there we go. So that kind of does change it a little bit, but it's still really like fuzzy. So I don't know if this like resistor in here was a really good idea, but that's basically off there. And if you turn it up, you can just get horrible colors to appear. So this thing about putting the 300 ohm resistor in there is a little bit odd. You can make it look worse, and then that's turned fully up and it just looks the same as it did before. And as I turn it down, I go through this horrible green and then back to kind of blue. Now this doesn't look super bad, but if you start changing colors, it can look a bit weird. I haven't got a keyboard plugged in. Let me plug that in. Oh, something dodgy going on there. So I think that might be that resistor that's in the lead actually. Now it looks okay there. This kind of looks okay until you try and like do something a little, get some different colors. Is it 53281? Is that the screen? There we go. So that's white. Now that's not really great. If we look at the poke, look at poke there. I mean, it's okay, but there's definitely something wrong with it. So let's just look at the, yeah, and the red looks absolutely awful. Now that might be those Hanover bars that were mentioned in Adrian's video, and you can kind of use this resistor to tweak that away. So maybe that does help. So that's with zero resistance, and as I tweak this up, I can kind of get rid of that, but it kind of looks more fuzzy. So maybe this resistor can do something, but that's with it on, that's just what you expect like out of the box, is you'll get this horrible, horrible look. Even that one's exactly the same. So by tweaking the resistor, I can make it more fuzzy with interference, but I can sharpen up the text. But you can see it's got like horrible colors next to it when I do that. So this might be the inductor that's the problem in this. So yeah, that's really nasty, but with it off, it's just like that. So it's weird that the Commodore 64 normal blue is actually fine. I do have that resistor in the Luma line, and even that one looks the same. Maybe I should cut that resistor out. But I think that I'd just make the picture a bit dimmer actually. I don't think it would do anything. Oh, 45. Oh God, that's awful. So perhaps this resistor is worth it. Oh, but look at that. Even that's just not, oh, it's not usable. It's just like horrible. So maybe it's time to cut that inductor out and see what we get. Is cutting this L1 inductor out gonna do anything? And this is why I wanted it out here like this. So I can take this out. There we go. How stupid is this with the little pigtails coming out of it? It's all in the name of science, because I'm doing this in the hopes that if anyone else needs to do this or it does work, then someone else can actually do the same thing to theirs. Or actually, I've got another Commodore 64 that I'd like to do it too. So the offending inductor is this one down here, L1. So that's the one I'm going to remove. It's connected straight into the chroma line, and it just needs to be removed and jumped. Just to, otherwise, if you cut that, you'll just be you won't pass any chroma through at all. So just need to cut it and jump it. And apparently that fixed the smearing on the NTSC one. So let's see if it does the same thing on this particular modulator. So I wonder if it's small enough to be able to get the snips in there. Is it? Oh, actually, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do it, because I can snip one leg, but I can't snip the other, because there's just nothing there to snip. It's like I'd have to go right through the inductor. So I might have to desolder this from the back, and maybe I should mark with a Sharpie which bloody pins they are, because this is difficult. I've marked the 2 pins that I'm going to do. This thing is way smaller than the big bread bin version. I'm going to pull those out, and I can jump it with a little piece of wire inside. Maybe that got it. So, actually getting this inductor out without destroying it, I'm quite pleased with myself. Let's try for the other bit here. Oh yeah, that's wiggly. That is wiggly. Right, there's our offending inductor removed. And now we just got to put a jumper in there. Hopefully after all this effort, it's actually worth it. Well, it's not even a bodge, it's just a jumper. It's a bit messy, but it's in. We'll need to cut those legs off afterwards that I've put on. This one here, that's my L1 officially bodged. We can put this back in now, see what we get. Ooh, sticky now from this sticky flux. Right, so there's the modulator reinstalled. Right, let's see what we get. We're gonna get a picture. Oh yeah. Well, it doesn't really look any different. I mean, that might be a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Let's see. It's about the same. Oh, maybe this crappy varistor thing that I've got in here is actually not helping though. Let's just turn that completely off. Still looks quite similar there. So let's try the poke. Is it 281? Oh, actually, this might actually be an improvement. I think this is an improvement. Let's just go up again. So these second ones were horrible. I'm not expecting these to be, well, they're still not great, but are they even better? I'm not sure. Let's try that little, maybe if I get a better, maybe you do need a resistor in here. Ah, look at that. So I actually can just slightly tweak this now and just get a decent picture. It's got a lot of vertical bars on it though, you can't see that there. So maybe playing with the resistor inside the line, I'll just show you what happens when I tweak that resistor. It's actually a 2K resistor, I didn't want that, I just found it. Yeah, so that's it with it off, and then I've just put a small resistance in here. Oh, just tiny amount. It's just because this is a really tweaky resistor. Just a teeny tiny amount. And that actually isn't too bad. It's still a bit fuzzy, but that's an improvement, I think. Yeah, the vertical bars look terrible though. Oh, and the green's awful. So that's interesting. Maybe that resistor I've got in the Luma line is not helping this now. Might take that out. So let me do that, and then I'll alter this cable, and then we'll come back and try have another look. So what it is there's a 100 ohm resistor I've just put inside the cable to the SCAR output. So I'll just take that out, and we'll leave in the variable resistor that I was tweaking there. I've just jumped over the this resistor that I've put in this. That's just in the luma line. I've just jumped over it with a piece of wire now. It's not soldered on, but I just tested it and it is 0 ohms. So that's just jumped over that luma resistor. Let's just see if it makes any difference. And by the way, that's the variable resistor that's just altering the SCART. So I'll plug this back in and we'll see if we get anything different. Right, here we go. So same thing, except I've got rid of that resistor. Oh, that was a bit weird when it came on. Whoops. Wow, it does a weird thing when it comes on. I wonder if that's the lack of the inductor when it's changing colours. Oh, is that better? Oh, did that just change colour then? It's got the horrible vertical jail bars. Oh, green is disgusting. One of these I'm going to do and I won't be able to see the text. So that's back to normal. I can see why they picked that colour now because it definitely looks the best. That doesn't look too bad. That looks pretty terrible. Let's try altering this resistor again. Oh, that's my dodgy lead. So maybe the resistor is required just to tweak it so it's correct. But this resistor is too... Oh, it just pops back to life there. Pop. Oh, still not a very good output though. It's not what I was hoping for. Which number is it that I can't do? Is it 9? No. I think this will improve though. The picture will improve when maybe it's these fly leads from the modulator that not really do me any favors. Good God. I'm not sure that's even the right color. That is weird. That looks horrible. That's the one I can't do. 14. Let's do 15. Oh. Oops. Did the wrong one. So that's white. There's black. Black doesn't look so great. I mean, a lot of this could be artifacts from my converter box. Oh, we're looking weird. That is looking very weird. So, I wonder if I should jump this resistor as well. Oh yeah, you see, look, if I go down to just like no resistance. Oh, that's my dodgy lead. So there's a dodgy lead going on here as well, but that's just because of this. Yeah, so there's a dodgy lead going on there as well, but that's probably, I'm not sure if that's making any difference. Let's see. Oh, you can see the you can see the dodginess of the lead. So there might be a couple of things going on there. Oh, but I just don't get why it's so horrible. It just doesn't feel like it should be like that. But that whoa, and then the color just completely changed. So I think I'll have to rebuild this SCART connector at some point. Yeah, that resistance is definitely doing something. So there we go. So the L1 resistor, the L1 inductor being removed has not adversely affected the output. I mean, I'm getting good output in places and then I'm getting bad output. I don't really get it. That's not too bad, but with the jail bars. Green is horrible. I mean, I'm going to leave the inductor out. Yeah, so the video output on the Commodore 64 is not great, and I'd really like to improve it more, but I'm just not getting anywhere with making something good. So maybe I should just try a proper resistor in that cable to see if that's the thing that's fixing it. But that L1 inductor is definitely doing nothing for me. So that screen's not so bad. Maybe it'll improve as well when I get rid of these fly leads. So there it is, inconclusive whether jumping this L1 has really made any difference, but it is in the PAL modulator, unlike the schematics would seem to indicate that the PAL modulator doesn't have that one. I think people in the comments from Adrian's video were saying it's there for some kind of FCC compliance, but it's inconclusive whether jumping this has made any difference to my output. I've certainly got a better output than I've had before, but it's not what I was hoping for. that's really it. I'm going to put this back together. I'll probably at some point in the future fix that lead, that SCART lead, and maybe take that resistor out, or just put in the 300 ohm one that people recommend. And then we'll see if that, plus coupled with the fact of this being inserted back in properly, will actually make a decent difference to this. But as it stands right now, I'm probably not much better off than I was, maybe a little bit. But I'll do an update if I get anywhere with this and I do make the video output better. But there it is, that's the Commodore 64 C PAL modulator removing the L1 inductor, and it's part number 251916 and it's -03A.